You know this music. Oh, yeah, you do. Even if you've never set foot in a theater, you've heard it. It's dramatic, it's beautiful, it's basically the soundtrack to ballet itself. But here's the crazy part. What if I told you that the story behind this iconic masterpiece isn't about instant success? It's actually about a huge, spectacular, almost unbelievable failure. So let's get right into it. That's the big question we're going to unpack today. We're going to follow the wild journey of Swan Lake, from a complete stage disaster to a global sensation, and then, somehow, into a powerful political symbol that absolutely no one saw coming. And our story has to begin right there, at square one, with that disastrous world premiere. That's it. One single word from a critic back at the 1877 Moscow premiere. Not bad, not controversial, not even interesting enough to hate. Just forgettable. It's almost impossible for us to wrap our heads around that now, but the very first reaction to Swan Lake was basically a collective meh. So what on earth went so wrong? Well, for starters, the choreography was apparently pretty uninspired. But the real problem, and this is the key, was that the dancers just could not handle Tchaikovsky's music. They were used to simple, light tunes that just kind of kept the rhythm. This score was something else entirely. It was a complex, powerful symphony. So the whole thing just fell apart. It was a mess. Now, to really understand what Tchaikovsky was even trying to do, we have to go back way further, to the old stories and myths where these ideas came from in the first place. You see, Swan Lake isn't just one story. It's more like this beautiful tapestry woven together from myths all across Europe. You've got threads from Russian folk tales about cursed princesses, bits from German legends about swan maidens, and maybe even a little inspiration from Bavaria's real-life, tragic swan king, Ludwig II. And this quote from the great ballet master Fyodor Lopukov really nails it. He argued that even with all those European influences, the soul of the ballet, that whole theme of a love that is pure and faithful to the very end, felt deeply, quintessentially Russian. It was like the country didn't just perform the ballet, it adopted it as its own. Okay, let's talk about the music. Because Tchaikovsky's score was both the reason for the revolution he was starting and the source of the entire problem. So Tchaikovsky was using this really cool technique called a leitmotif. Think of it like a theme song for a character. You know that gorgeous, soaring, almost heartbreaking melody? That is the Swan Queen, Odette, in musical form. It gave the ballet this incredible storytelling depth that was just totally new for the time. And this is where you really see the difference. Before Tchaikovsky, ballet music was mostly just pretty background noise. Nice tunes for the dancers, but he wrote a full-on symphony that you could dance to. It was a complete story told from the first note to the last. The ballet world just wasn't there yet. They weren't ready for it. And get this, that was an actual criticism at the time. Can you imagine creating music so powerful, so full of emotion, that people literally said it was wasted on a ballet? Tchaikovsky wasn't just writing for his own time, he was writing for all of us in the future. Here's a fantastic little story that just shows you the kind of artist he was. The original lead ballerina decided she didn't like his music for her solo, so she had another composer write a new piece for her. Tchaikovsky was understandably deeply insulted. He basically said, "Oh, no, you don't. If you want a new piece, I will write it." And the result? The incredible, notoriously difficult showpiece we now know as the Black Swan Pas de Deux. Okay, so we've got this misunderstood musical masterpiece and a failed ballet. So how in the world does it become the legend we know today? Well, this is its comeback story. It definitely didn't happen quickly. We're talking almost 20 years. After that first flop, a few revivals started to kind of chip away at the problem, slowly figuring things out. But the truly heartbreaking part of this whole story is that Tchaikovsky died in 1893. He never got to see his work become immortal. The definitive, world-changing version premiered 2 years after he was gone. So here's what finally cracked the code. It took a pair of choreographic geniuses, a real dream team. The legendary Marius Petipa handled the big, grand scenes at the palace, but it was his brilliant collaborator, Lev Ivanov, who created those stunning, poetic, and emotional scenes by the lake with the swans. Their partnership was just magic. And that 1895 revival, it introduced a moment of pure jaw-on-the-floor virtuosity. 32. That is how many fouettes, these insane whipping turns on one leg, the ballerina playing the villainous Black Swan has to do. And to this very day, it is still one of the most difficult and iconic challenges in all of ballet. That revival also cemented this incredible tradition where one ballerina has to play both lead roles, Odette and Odile. It's just an unbelievable challenge. In a single night, you have to be both the fragile, heartbroken white swan and the sharp, seductive, evil black swan. But believe it or not, the story of Swan Lake doesn't end there. In a truly bizarre twist of history, it leaped off the stage and onto the TV screen, becoming a very strange and very powerful symbol in Russian politics. Yeah, it's kind of wild. During the Soviet era, this weird tradition started. Whenever there was a major political crisis, a leader died, a coup was happening, state television would cancel everything. And they would just play a recording of Swan Lake, sometimes for hours and hours on a loop. And I'm not kidding. This happened again and again through the 80s and early 90s. For the people living there, it became this unspoken signal. If you turned on your TV and saw the swans dancing, you knew something big and bad was happening. It famously played for 3 straight days during the attempted coup against Gorbachev in 1991. So because of that strange history, the ballet has now been reclaimed by some as a symbol of protest. In 2022, when Russia's last major independent TV station, TV Rain, was forced to shut down, what do you think they broadcast in their final moments online? You guessed it, a clip from Swan Lake. And today, you can't escape its influence. From the Oscar-winning psychological thriller Black Swan, to groundbreaking stage reinterpretations, to being sampled in pop music, this once forgettable ballet is now just permanently woven into our culture. I mean, it's just an incredible journey, isn't it? A failed ballet, born from ancient myths, gets resurrected as a timeless masterpiece, only to be transformed again into this coded political message of crisis, and now, defiance. It really all comes down to this one question. What happens when a piece of art becomes a political weapon? Well, its meaning can change, forever.